Let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to look at how business coach Sir CP's blueprint can totally transform your factory into a high-performance efficiency engine. Because let's face it, whether you're running a massive, sprawling assembly line or a highly specialized boutique production floor, managing and more importantly, minimizing your manufacturing costs, that's the absolute bedrock of your survival and growth. Today, we're taking a structured look at this really brilliant presentation, breaking down the practical, everyday strategies you need to reduce costs and sustainably boost your bottom line.
But before we can tune up this engine, we got to ask a critical question. Where are the profit leaks actually hiding on your production line? It's so easy to just look at that end-of-year revenue and feel pretty comfortable, right? But the reality of manufacturing is that profits almost never disappear overnight. Nope, they drain away slowly through tiny, unnoticed inefficiencies. They're lurking in idle machines, sitting right there in overstocked warehouses, and hiding in repetitive tasks that could literally just be automated. Our goal today is to shine a massive spotlight on those hiding spots. And I absolutely love how Sir CP frames cost reduction here. It's not about cutting corners. It's about building a stronger, leaner business. This isn't about, buying cheaper, lower quality materials or just overworking your staff to the bone. It's all about efficiency. Think about it. When you save $1 by removing a redundant process, that dollar goes straight to your bottom line. And honestly, more importantly, it makes your entire operation so much more agile and way more competitive in the global market.
So here's our roadmap to sustainable profitability. We'll start by decoding costs, then move into eliminating waste, optimizing machines, leveraging tech and your workforce, and finally, we'll wrap up with KPIs and a solid action plan.
Section 1. Decoding your manufacturing costs.
When you really boil it down, your total costs essentially come out to just 3 main slices. First, you've got direct materials. That's the raw goods you're physically assembling. Next is direct labor, representing the actual people on the floor building the product. And finally, manufacturing overhead, which is basically everything else. We're talking the electricity, the factory rent, the maintenance, the whole shebang. If you want to lower costs, every single strategy we cover today is going to directly target shrinking one of these 3 slices, and doing it without compromising the quality of your final product.
Now, our objective here is definitely not a quick fix. We're not looking for some temporary band-aid that's just going to fall off by next quarter. Instead, by fundamentally understanding those 3 cost drivers we just talked about, we can start applying practical, everyday strategies that result in real, sustainable profitability for the long haul.
All right, moving on to Section 2, eliminating waste and inefficiency.
To really nail this, we lean into principles like Kaizen. If you're not familiar, it's this fantastic mindset of continuous improvement where you relentlessly hunt down and remove non-value activities. Kaizen is honestly such a fascinating concept because it completely relies on the idea that small, ongoing positive changes can reap massive improvements over time. It empowers absolutely everyone on the factory floor to look at their daily routine and ask themselves, hey, is this specific action actually adding value to the product? And if the answer is no, well then it's classified as waste and it needs to be relentlessly rooted out of the system.
What does this look like on the factory floor? It means balancing your production lines, applying 5S organization, and heavily optimizing workflows to slash that dreaded, costly downtime. Now, 5S is all about sorting, setting an order, and standardizing the workspace. That way, workers aren't wasting 10 minutes just aimlessly looking for the right wrench, When you pair that level of clean organization with balanced production lines, which just means making sure no single station becomes a bottleneck holding up the rest of the factory, you create this incredibly smooth workflow. This drastically improves your production efficiency and makes sure your labor costs are actually working for you, not just standing around waiting for a machine to free up.
Up next is Section 3, optimizing materials and machines. To keep your inventory lean and prevent the nightmare of overstocking, Sir CP strongly advocates for JIT, or just-in-time management, paired with tools like ABC analysis. Because let's be real, storing excess materials is insanely expensive. It eats up your floor space, it completely ties up your cash flow, and there's always the risk of materials just becoming obsolete. Just-in-time means exactly that. Materials arrive exactly when they are needed on the production line and not a minute sooner. And by bringing in ABC analysis, you categorize your inventory by value. This ensures you're keeping the absolute tightest control over your most expensive A-class materials, preventing huge chunks of your capital from just sitting uselessly on a warehouse shelf gathering dust.
You can also shrink that material slice of our pie chart through better supplier negotiations, standardizing parts, and aggressively, relentlessly reducing scrap. Think about it. If your engineering team can standardize materials so that the exact same screws, brackets, or wiring can be used across multiple different product lines, your purchasing power goes through the roof. You can negotiate those bulk discounts with suppliers so much more effectively. And of course, every single piece of scrap you produce is literally money thrown straight in the trash. Tightening up those processes to reduce scrap is just an immediate, undeniable win for your material costs.
Now consider the pretty stark contrast between investing in scheduled, predictive maintenance versus suffering the absolute catastrophic expense of a reactive breakdown. It is completely human nature to just want to run a machine until it breaks, right? Just to squeeze every last ounce of time out of it. But reactive maintenance means the machine breaks down right in the middle of a crucial run, halting your beautifully balanced production line and leaving workers just standing around idle. Preventive maintenance, on the other hand, using predictive monitoring, lets you fix that machine on a scheduled Tuesday night when the factory is completely empty. It turns what could be an unpredictable disaster into a predictable, totally manageable overhead cost.
And this proactive mindset feeds right into quality management. You use root cause analysis to achieve a right first time standard, which drastically lowers your rework and warranty costs. Because if a product fails halfway down the line and someone has to take it apart and fix it, guess what? You've just paid for the labor and materials twice. Nobody wants that. By instilling this right first-time culture and aggressively investigating the actual root cause of any defect, rather than just treating the surface symptom, you ensure the product leaves the factory perfectly. This not only speeds up production, but it completely saves you from the massive financial drain of warranty claims and customer returns later on.
Believe it or not, even your energy costs can be easily trimmed by simply monitoring your consumption, upgrading to more efficient machines, and literally just switching off idle equipment. I know, it sounds almost too basic to even mention, but you would be absolutely shocked at how many manufacturing plants leave heavy, incredibly power-hungry machinery idling during shift changes or lunch breaks. Implementing strict, non-negotiable policies to switch off idle equipment and utilizing smart monitors to track exactly where your electricity is actually going, well, those are incredibly fast, highly effective ways to drive down that manufacturing overhead slice.
Moving right along to Section 4, Tech and Workforce Productivity.
By automating repetitive tasks and deploying ERP or MES systems, your management team is suddenly empowered to make truly data-driven decisions. Look, automation isn't just about replacing hands on the floor. It's really about freeing up your workforce to do much more complex, high-value tasks. Meanwhile, implementing an ERP, which is an enterprise resource planning system, or an MES, a manufacturing execution system, basically gives you a digital brain for your factory. Suddenly, you aren't just guessing how long a production run takes or what your current inventory levels are. You have real-time data feeding straight to your dashboard. This allows you to make precise, surgical, cost-saving decisions.
But hey, technology alone isn't enough, right? You absolutely must unlock workforce productivity through consistent training, clear performance metrics, and deep employee engagement. You could go out and buy the most expensive, fully automated machinery in the world, but if the operators don't know how to run it optimally, or if they just aren't engaged in that Kaizen culture of continuous improvement we talked about earlier, you will never see the full return on your investment. Giving your team the right training and showing them exactly how their specific performance metrics contribute to the factory's overall success, that builds a real culture of ownership. Because at the end of the day, an engaged worker is an efficient worker.
Finally, we've arrived at Section 5, KPIs and your action plan. To actually track your progress, you need to rigorously monitor 4 highly vital metrics: cost per unit, overall equipment effectiveness, or OEE, your scrap rate, and your inventory turnover. Cost per unit is fantastic because it tells you at a glance if your efficiency measures are actually working. OEE is basically the gold standard metric that measures exactly how much of your manufacturing time is truly productive. Your scrap rate, as we discussed, shows you how much material is just being wasted, and inventory turnover reveals how fast you are converting raw materials into sold, paid-for goods. If you watch these 4 numbers like a hawk, you will instantly know the true health of your manufacturing floor.
So how do we put this all together? SirCP lays out a definitive 5-step action plan. Number 1, audit your costs. Number 2, prioritize the biggest savings. 3, implement the changes. 4, measure the impact. And 5, relentlessly improve. You start by going all the way back to that 3-slice pie chart and auditing exactly where your money is going right now. Then, and this is key, you don't try to fix everything all at once. You prioritize the areas that will yield the biggest, fastest savings. You implement your 5S, your JIT inventory, or your predictive maintenance. You measure the results using those KPIs we just went over, and then, deeply following the spirit of Kaizen, you start the whole cycle all over again to improve even further.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this one critical thought.
Which inefficiency is draining your profits the absolute fastest right now? And more importantly, what exactly are you going to do tomorrow to stop it? You now have SirCP's comprehensive blueprint to completely transform your manufacturing costs. You know how to decode the expenses, eliminate the waste, optimize the machines, and truly engage your workforce. But as we all know, just knowing isn't enough. Execution is literally everything. So take a hard look at your floor tomorrow morning, find that one single non-value activity, and start building your very own efficiency engine.